welcome to episode 28 of New, Old, and Songs Untold. I'm your host, Nick, joined with my co-host, Anna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's cold outside.
It is. It just got cold here in Wisconsin.
Yesterday I was using my air conditioning in the car, and now I'm freezing.
I know, I think it was like, got up to almost 70 or over 70 yesterday, and it was down into 30s or 40s
Yeah,
today,
what the heck?
Classic Wisconsin weather. But today we have a really good episode. I was pretty excited. I hit my mic again. I need to stop doing that.
I'm not even phased when you do that now.
It's just loud in the audio.
Yes.
No, but today we have a very special episode, I think. I was excited.
Should be a fun one.
Excited to look at him all year round. And today we have, I want to say, one of the best guitarists, or electrical guitarists at least, of all time, Jimi Hendrix. Alright, before we get in the top 10, should we hear a little history of Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, he's got kind of an interesting background.
James Marshall Jimi Hendrix, born John Allen Hendrix, was born on November 27th, 1942. And he had I read that and I was like, how many names did he go by?
All the names.
All the names. He was obviously an American musician, singer, and songwriter. Although his mainstream career spanned only 4 years, he's widely regarded as one of the most influential electric guitarists in the history of popular music, and one of the most celebrated musicians of the 20th century. He was born in Seattle, Washington. Hendrix began playing the guitar at the age of 15. And in 1961, he enlisted in the U.S. Army.
Honestly.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that for how good he got,
yeah, that's impressive.
He didn't start when he was like 5 or something, as like a lot of people.
He wasn't like a musical prodigy or anything.
So in 1961, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, but was discharged the following year. I actually heard another kind of funny part of this. He was kind of discharged because he just wanted to get discharged, so he just did everything wrong, but they just wouldn't discharge him. And then
so he obviously enjoyed his time there.
Yeah, and then right after he got discharged, so he played a lot of music while he was in the Army, and basically his friends or his fellow enlistees in the Army basically convinced him to all right, you should go play music. But then he was so broke, why he went into the Army in the first place, because he had no money. He was so broke that he sold one of them his guitar, his only guitar.
That's heartbreaking.
To basically just try to go somewhere. And then he got so kind of I think this was before he moved to Clarksville. So I think he moved back to Clarksville with his guitar.
Did he take the last train to Clarksville?
I was like, I literally.
Sorry, that was a really bad joke.
It was pretty bad. But he basically went back, begged the guy to give him his guitar back, and he did. So then he ended up moving to Clarksville, Tennessee, where he began playing gigs at the Chitlin Circuit, earning a place in the Isley Brothers backup band, and later with Little Richard, who he continued to work through the mid-1965s. So kind of...
The 1965s? Were there more than one?
There was, because when you say through mid-1965, you just put S at the end of it. Couple of big-name bands. Isley Brothers and Little Richard. That's
I think he played with King Curtis, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was literally next sentence. Read my mind.
Look at that.
He played with, as you said, you said King Curtis. Is it Curtis Knight and the Squares before? So this was a different person. Sorry, I apologize. I saw Curtis and my brain just stopped working.
Fair enough.
Before he moved to England in the late 1966, almost did it again, after bassist Chaz Chandler of the Animals became his manager. And then within months, Hendrix has earned 3 UK top 10 hits with the Jimi Hendrix Experience: Hey Joe, Purple Haze, and The Wind at Cries Mary, which we'll get into later, but all phenomenal songs.
Yes.
Start off his career. His achieved fame in the U.S. I can't read tonight.
He achieved
fame in the U.S. after his performance at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967, and in 1968, his third and final solo album, Electric Ladyland, reached #1 in the U.S. The double LP was Hendrix's most commercially successful release and his first and only #1 album, which is not crazy. I understand, but like kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I go into that a little bit when I talk about my top 10.
Perfect. He was the world's highest paid performer at the time, and he headlined the famed Woodstock Festival in 1969, which we definitely have to do at some point somehow in an episode. We gotta talk about Woodstock at some point.
Yeah, he performed the Star Spangled Banner on the electric guitar, and it's pretty amazing.
Yep. And the Isles of Wight Festival in 1970. White. It's WIGHT, so I thought it was Wight.
No, that's white. The Isles of Wight, it's in the UK.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Isles of Wight Festival in 1970 for his accidental death in London from his death is actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of mysterious.
So essentially, he died September 18th, 1970 at the age of 27. I believe he died after Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
So he's like the third of the famed 27 Club, I believe, like one of the early members.
Yeah, I don't know when.
Robert Johnson was the first.
Yeah.
At 27.
I don't know when Janis Joplin died.
So he's up in one of the early ones of the famed 27.
She also died in 1970.
Wow.
Around the same time. Well, and Jim Morrison also died right around there. I don't know if it was 70 or 71.
Yeah, that is true. So his death, it's basically he either OD'd. He basically
it says like drug related overdose.
Well, what happened was he choked on his own throw up.
Yeah.
So he was found in the hotel room, or he woke up. I think his then girlfriend, or he had many of different love interests. That was a very interesting thing hearing about him. He had a very
it's not that surprising.
No,
it's
not.
60s and it's
I know.
a rock star.
So he potentially, that's one there's a lot of conspiracy theories with his death. There was one that he was murdered because of one of the love interests, like
classic.
One potentially he was with organized crime in England, and one was just he simply overdosed. The why there are, I think it was sleeping pills. Or not sleeping pills. Sleeping pills one.
Can you overdose?
No, I forgot what drug they used. Basically, what happened is, I think they might use sleeping pills to make him pass out through a bunch of.
What are you talking about?
They don't know. So this is the theory.
theory. Okay.
So why they think it's like a murder potentially?
Gotcha.
So basically, I don't remember what the OD drug was. So it's gonna make me really upset. But anyways, they found it was definitely a pill-related substance because they found 2 bottles. Supposedly, he drank 2 bottles of red wine.
Nice.
But it never reached the stomach, so he basically was dead before the bottle. After the bottles were inserted or in his body after he died.
Yeah.
So and that came up years later off of some friend of his manager that was drunk. One day told somebody, but he died in the 90s or something. So there's no way to really confirm any of this, but there's
a lot of conspiracies.
You can go down. I went down a few rabbit holes, and you can go,
obviously.
But anyways, back to his actually music career here.
Yes.
So Hendrix was inspired by American rock and roll and electric blues. He favored overdrawn amplifiers with high volume and gain, and was instrumental in popularizing the previous undesirable sounds caused by guitar amplifier or feedback. He was also the first guitarist to make use of tone altering effects units in mainstream rock, such as fuzz distortion, octave, wah-wah, and univibe. He was one of the first musicians to use stereophonic phasing.
Phonic. Jeez.
I'm close, but not close. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's been a long day. Effects in recording.
Yeah. So basically, he had this ability to kind of like coaxed out all these unforeseen sonics from his instruments that just were like out of this world. And he used a lot of innovative amplification experiments that produced a lot of weird feedback and interesting, very like loud distortion on his guitar. Yeah. And he was kind of the first one to use production in that way to shape how his music was structured and sounded.
He had a few of like, I think of like big influences. It was like basically Elvis, a lot for the rock and roll kind of aspect of his shows. And also Chuck Berry, which you definitely can kind of hear a little like Chuck Berry in it for sure. Yeah. And Little Richard.
Especially with like his showmanship, because he was very, he's very like dazzling showmanship. He used to like play behind his back, and with his teeth. Mm-hmm. And then one time he like set his guitar on fire and do this whole like thing. It was kind of crazy, all the stuff he would do.
Yeah, he also influenced by Bob Dylan for a lot of his songwriting, which I think...
Yeah, I have a quote, during the top 10, I'll get into it, but I have a quote that he said, like, Bob Dylan's one of the greatest, like, lyricists of all time.
And I definitely, we'll talk about more, but I think he's underrated for his songwriting, for sure, a little bit, so...
Yeah.
Hendrix, he also was, he was the recipient of several music awards during his lifetime, and his lifetime and post-mortem. In 1967, readers of Melody Maker voted him the Pop Musician of the Year, and in '68, Billboard named him the Artist of the Year, and Rolling Stones declared him the Performer of the Year. A lot of different awards that year.
Yeah.
And to be fair, '68 was a good year for him. Disco and Music Echo honored him with the World Top Musician of 1969, and in 1970, Guitar Player named him the Rock Guitarist of the Year. The Jimi Hendrix Experience was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992 and the UK Music Hall of Fame in 2005. Rolling Stones ranked the band's 3 album Are You Experienced, Axis, Bold as Love, and Electric Ladyland among the 100 greatest albums of all time, which I don't remember if that was... We looked at that, but I don't remember where they were exactly.
Yeah, I remember them in there.
And they ranked Hendrix as the greatest guitarist and the 6th greatest artist of all time.
Yeah.
Alright, what were your initial thoughts going into Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, so it's weird. I feel like Jimi Hendrix is like the one person in that era of rock and roll that I haven't listened to. Like the late 1960s, with like the Doors and Janis Joplin and all these bands that were very popular that I literally love. I've never listened really to Jimi Hendrix that much, so I was definitely excited to like sit down and really give it a good listen. And playing guitar, I play a little bit of guitar, not a lot, but I was excited to hear because he's known as one of the best.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I was excited. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Same. I was obviously excited. I think I have one of his songs. I won't spoil it. We'll wait. But one of his songs is one of my favorite songs of like all time.
Mm-hmm. I already know which one it is. I think
probably. But so I knew that song and I knew a few others, but I really never listened to his albums. So that aspect got me pretty excited. And I honestly didn't know what to expect. At all going into the albums, because I know he's a big showman. Yeah. And with his live performances that he had, and I remember seeing him when I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's like there was a couch, I think, from his parents' house.
That must be a nasty couch.
It's like the couch he wrote like "Hey Joe" on or something, something like, and it's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something.
The whole couch?
Like most of it, or it's half the couch or something. I don't remember. It was something crazy like that.
That's hilarious.
But that was, I guess that was my first look into Jimi Hendrix.
So they had his couch, not his like famous guitar.
No, they had guitar. That was just one. Oh, okay. They had a whole thing. They had like one of his like.
I thought he just
they had like couch. I think the original like "Hey Joe" what he wrote, like the piece of paper, and they had a bunch of stuff. That was just.
His guitar is very famous. He has a Fender Stratocaster all white.
Yeah, I'm not sure they might have had it, but I don't remember. I know they had a pretty big, like, just to him, and that was kind of semi-rare in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because
yeah, there's a lot of rock and roll.
Of Hall of Fame members. But, alright, so shall we get into the top 10?
Yeah, what's the Spotify number 10?
Alright, Spotify number 10 is Bold as Love off of Axis. Bold as Love with 21 million plays.
Alright.
What is your number 10?
My number 10 is Can You See Me? And that is off of Are You Experienced? So that is his first album. To me, that's his most cohesive. That's kind of the one that is like his psychedelic masterpiece to me. So most of my picks are from that, if you couldn't tell.
Gotcha.
But I just love the very driving drum beat in this one, the rhythm that it just keeps like the song going and going. And I feel like it's one of the more accessible, like, catchy songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word that we use a lot to describe music, but I feel like I won't use it very much in this episode because not that his stuff isn't, like, good, but it's not in the catchy aspect, I think.
It's more mesmerizing,
yes.
if anything.
Yeah, so this one is one of the only ones that I was like, yeah, that's actually kind of catchy.
Sure.
I feel like a broader audience might like this one. And it's very electric, powerful guitar solo as in most cases of his songs.
Yeah, definitely.
That was kind of his thing, if you didn't know. It was
right.
very famous guitarist. But yeah, that's my number 10, Can You See Me?
Alright, my number 10 is Come On, Let's Get the Good Times, Let the Good Time... I cannot talk today. Let the Good Times Roll.
You're like straight up struggling with words.
This is bad. Off of Electric Ladyland, which came out in 1968. Written and first recorded by Earl King in 1960, Hendrix combined his electric guitar to a great rhythm and blues song, which he does quite a bit, I think, but this one is, you hear it, and
he has a lot of blues influences.
He does. They basically what happened with this song, they ended up playing it live, like a lot just covering it when they were on stage, and they literally just put it on their album to fill out the album since they didn't know their song. But I think it's like a match made in heaven, this song, because the blues song is really good on its own, but you combine I'm only going to say this once, his amazing guitar play, because you could say that for literally every single song.
Yes.
Is amazing.
It's hard to say anything else.
So I tried to go, as you'll see, I try to get to more personal stories of the songs themselves, because every song has amazing electric guitar play. So I won't keep repeating myself.
I feel like as we go through our top 10, I try to kind of like pick out, okay, what different parts of this guitar do I like or are like crazy and that stand out to me. Makes sense. I hope it won't be too repetitive this episode.
So that was my number 10. Come on, let's let the good times roll. All right.
Number 9.
Number 9 for Spotify was Crosstown Traffic off of Electric Ladyland with 37 million plays.
Okay.
What is your number 9?
My number 9 is Burning of the Midnight Lamp, also off Electric Ladyland. This is a weird song. I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
But I liked it. Do you remember this song?
I do. Just because, I know you said that the Are You Experience was probably your favorite, but Electric Ladyland for me is my favorite.
Yeah.
So that, funny enough, that was like one of the only ones I didn't give I said it's fine, but it wasn't one of my for sure yeses.
Yeah. So he wrote the lyrics on a flight from New York to Los Angeles in 1967, and they kind of expressed the confusion he felt while he was traveling a lot during that time. And he is quoted to say that that's really a song I'm proud of. Some people say this is the worst track we've ever done. I think it is the best, even if the technique is not great, even if the sound is not clear, and even if the lyrics can't be properly heard. This is a song that you often listen to and come back to. So it's interesting that the popular opinion of this song was not super highly rated, but he uses it's a very melancholy blues song, and he uses the wah-wah effect on his guitar for the first time in this song. And he also overdubs some weird harpsichord embellishments, and it's so weird sounding. And I think this one specifically exemplifies his production skills, because one of the things he really revolutionized was using production and like post, like after you've recorded it, all the effects that you can do and the different sounds you can create. He was one of the first people to actually use that in like an artistic and like kind of more expressive way. So this one, it just shows off like all the lush array of sounds he could make, and I could see how people wouldn't like this because it's pretty strange, but I love the ways that he tries to like experiment in this.
Yeah, and you hear that a lot throughout.
Yeah, and like his album Access Bold as Love, and then this album Electric Ladyland is very experimental in comparison to his first one. But then so it just has really like grand backing vocals too. I think his band did the backing vocals on this, and there's just like a very crisp kind of crunchy guitar sound. And it almost sounds like lasers going off to me. It's such a weird song. You'd have to just listen to it because it's so hard to like put it into words. But that is Burning of the Midnight Lamp for my number 9.
All right, my number 9 is One Rainy Wish off of Access Bold as Love, 1967. The song is written by Hendrix based on a dream he had, which, quote, "The sky was filled with 1,000 stars and 11 moons played across the rainbows." And that was,
oh man, what drugs was he on?
I know. Well, that was from the Hendrix biography, but the song is described as creaking with radical harmonies and rhythm concepts. Not least fact, the verse is in 3/4 times, while the chorus is in 4/4 times, or normal speed.
Yeah.
I love because it's a slower song. So. And I found my next 2 ones are actually, I see they're more like really unique to his whole discography, because I think they're, or this song.
I've got some slower ones too that I really enjoyed.
This one, basically, I said I love the slower song with the awesome guitar. I said I was going to not say that, but then I said and drugs. Obviously, this was during
there's also
his probably beginning, or probably one of those heavier drug times in the later 60s, especially the 67 album, or the 267 or 167 album.
Yeah.
So it's funny that I just read when he quoted the song, it's like,
and a lot of his songs come from, like, he gets a lot of inspiration from his dreams, because I have another song where he talks about it kind of originated from his dreams. So
but it's a really good like slow song, but in his style. So that's the best way to describe it. I really enjoyed it. So that was my number 9, One Rainy Wish.
All right.
8.
Yes.
8.
We said all right at the same time. It kind of threw me off.
8 for Spotify is Foxy Lady with 55. Ooh. Nope, that is wrong. Nick is wrong. He had the wrong order. Number 8 is Castles Made of Sand with 39 million plays off of Access Bold as Love.
I wish it was called Sandcastles in the Sand.
I literally thought of that every time I read the...
If you watch How I Met Your Mother, that's just a great...
Yes, it's a great little reference there. Alright, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is Red House. So that is off of Are You Experienced? This song is a long song. It's like 13 minutes long. So it just keeps on going, basically.
Yeah, I do remember that one, actually.
Yeah, it's just like a scorching blues song. It's about Hendrix returning home to see his girlfriend who lives in a red house. And when he gets there, the key won't work, and you realize she doesn't live there anymore. And instead of like wallowing in his misery, he kind of just moves on. But he recorded this in kind of like a call and response blues style, where each line is repeated twice. And this style has been used for a long time. It dates back to like field holler workers would sing this to like pass the time in the American South. And this actually wasn't included on the original U.S. Release of the album. They kind of added it later on because he was kind of annoyed by that, because it was one of his favorites, and he performed it at concerts all the time, and he would constantly change the arrangements and kind of just improvise. And I think that's one of the reasons I like this one the most, is because it showcases like his ability to improvise and just mixing all the different styles that because he has rock styles, he has blues, he kind of has all this different stuff he puts into his own like perception, and it's interesting to see what he can come up with. So it's obviously the guitar is massively complex, very bluesy in this one. So that is Red House for my number 8.
Alright, my number 8, same as Spotify. Castles Made of Sand, off of Axis Bold as Love, 1967. The ballad can easily be mistaken for like a rap predecessor in a way, because it's a very personal, like, biographical song.
Yeah.
Using the changing of the seasons as a metaphor for his own kind of life. I personally just love songs that tell stories throughout the song. I don't even need like a repeating chorus in a lot of songs. You can just have a story go out. I love that. And this is a great example of, this is a unique song too.
Yeah.
Because like it is mistaken, can be mistaken for like early, like what you would consider like rap, but he's basically just talking throughout out his guitar playing. And it's slower and softer, that tells a really interesting story about his own life and a lot of really good metaphors. And I think this shows his writing, that how you can see different style, how it was given than Bob Dylan, or presented, but you can see a lot of the metaphors and how he was influenced by Bob Dylan. I think this song very shows his writing, very great writing ability.
Yeah, I didn't like Axis Bold as Love as much as the other ones. That was probably my least favorite. I didn't really enjoy it that much. The first song is not really even a song. It's just like noise.
I know.
I'm like, what is this?
EXP or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that was my number 8, Castles Made of Sand. On to number 7. Number 7 is Foxy Lady with 55 million plays off of Are You Experienced?
Yeah, I like that one. It didn't make my list, but I do. I mean, that one's just like one of the classic Hendrix songs.
It is. I actually didn't like it as much as obviously people do. I didn't like hate it or anything.
Yeah.
It just wasn't one of the ones and it's
no, it's the worst.
No, it's crazy because it's definitely like one of his, like, even though it's only got 55 million plays on Spotify, it's probably one of his most popular like songs.
Yeah.
Like just throughout. So, all right, what was your number 7?
So this is, I don't know if this counts, but it's kind of a left field choice. So you probably didn't listen to this one. My number 7 is Changes, and it's from an album they released after his death called Live at Fillmore East.
Did he cover?
So in this one after he kind of did his stuff with Jimi Hendrix, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, he was kind of in a band called Band of Gypsies.
Yeah, they had one album, didn't they?
Yeah, and this was kind of it. It was a live performance that they recorded and then released. And so this was off of that, and it was written by his acquaintance, the drummer and singer Buddy Miles. And I think he is the one who sings this song, actually, so it's not Jimi Hendrix vocals, but Jimi Hendrix plays guitar on this song.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, and...
Yeah, that counts.
I think it counts.
Yeah.
It was his band. I mean, he just didn't sing on it.
Yeah.
But it's one of Jimi Hendrix's later tracks that explores more his blues and, like, R&B aspirations. Kind of like what you were talking about, almost beginnings of hip-hop kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it also has, this one's a little bit funky too. It has some funk music influences. The song kind of is about changes in the African American community at this time. Integration kind of had just like started to take place, and so that's like the changes that are being referenced. And the guitar is very like frantic and kind of wild, and then it kind of calms down in the chorus, and it has like this descending pattern, and I really, really love the vocals. I didn't know who Buddy Miles was before I listened to the song, but it has just really like bluesy vocals that go really well with Jimmy's more like emotional guitar playing in this one. So yeah, I really liked, kind of, it wasn't, obviously it's not like a pure Jimi Hendrix song, but you can definitely hear his influences with the very complex guitar. But that is Changes for my number 7.
All right, my number 7 is Crosstown Traffic off of Electric Ladyland, 1968. It uses wordplay and fast and slow innuendos to
Innuendos.
Thank you. To compare the girl Hendrix is chasing to literal traffic. Jimi also confessed that it was his first time using other instruments in the studio. He used or handling vocals, lead guitar, kazoo, as well as piano.
Ooh.
So I thought that was an interesting little thing. The track has influence on other genres even after like many years, obviously after the band. Because R&B singer Frank Ocean, which I think we really should do sometime. He's a newer R&B singer, listed as one of his favorite tracks. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers provided a punk cover in 1989. So I thought that was very interesting.
That is pretty interesting.
I love the tone of the music because it really makes you feel like you're trying to get somewhere but you're stuck in traffic. It's very strange. I don't know why. I think I liked it so much since the song, he does a really good job of put you into the song.
Yeah.
And kind of what he's trying to say. So it literally feels like you're stuck in traffic. Like there's noises going on and like you kind of get like a little anxious throughout the song. And it really
creates a whole atmosphere.
It does, and it puts you in the song so well that I think that's why I liked it so much. Like honestly, and
I know it's called the Jimi Hendrix Experience, but I feel like he really does like create a whole experience for the listener.
He's like really does, and this song is a great example of it. Like just like using it, you get lost in the song, and you like. I looked up the lyrics because half the time I was just like the sounds. I was just like kind of like the squirrel, like Hammy the squirrel, just going ooh, sound, you know, like, and then I kind of listened to it again, but for more of the lyrical wise and him and how he compared like him chasing a girl or the girl he's crushing on, or with the innuendos of the literal traffic is hilarious, and it's a great song that really puts you in the song. So that was my number 7, Crosstown Traffic.
All right.
We are on number 6. Number 6 for Spotify is The Wind Cries Mary with 61 million plays off of Are You Experienced?
All right.
What is your number 6?
My number 6 is Little Miss Strange. So this is off of Electric Ladyland. And it kind of alludes to Hendrix's complicated relationships with women in the past. Obviously, a lot of his songs are about women and his relationships. And it also continues the theme of like curious and almost like magical women that appear throughout this album. The track is co-written by Noel Redding, and my favorite part is just like it has really like fuzzy, distorted guitar right in the beginning. It just sounds so cool. It almost sounds to me like he's playing the guitar like underwater. Like I don't know how he created these sounds, but it's insane.
It's crazy.
And this one has more of like a typical 60s band sound. It has different vocals. I don't think he's singing on this. I don't know if it's Noel Redding, but it's not Jimi Hendrix for sure.
I know I love this song, so
this one's really good.
I think it just missed my 10, but I loved it too.
Yeah. But it just has it you know, it still has that unique, very heart racing guitar of Jimi Hendrix that it's kind of just moving all over the place, but still like works very cohesively. So yeah, that's Little Miss Strange for my number 6.
All right, my number 6 is Bold as Love off of Axis. Bold as Love, the closing track of his second album. It paints a vivid picture of the human emotion using color as a metaphor. It's very like literally using different colors and explaining them as metaphors through as I say, the human experience.
Yeah.
I think his voice in this one is very good. This one was like kind of different with his voice, where it was on almost, and like this song has some masterful guitar play.
Yeah.
It really does. And like the combination with his voice are just like, it's like one displays. It's slow, but like it really hits you.
Yeah, for most of his vocals, he has very like throaty vocals. They're very like gritty sounding, so they're not like always the best, but I feel like stylistically they work still well with his music.
Yeah, this one, because I think that he slowed down the song to where I think he then slowed down his vocals a little bit to like some of his other like faster upbeat songs.
Yeah.
It just created a different tone, and this is where you could hear his voice actually come through and how good a singer he is.
Yeah, because he's almost like David Bowie or like Neil Young, where the voice isn't like great, but it definitely isn't like bad. You know, it's one of those things where
I think it's misleading more than anything, because you hear him on a song and you I think he sometimes purposely is sounding how he's sounding for the most part.
Like I said, it's more of a stylistic choice
yes.
of how he
because
wants
like I watched some like live clips of him at like Woodstock and like obviously when you see someone live, typically that's how you can tell how good their voice is.
Yes.
And even for how crappy the audio was for being recorded.
It wasn't pristine.
No, being recorded.
High quality stuff.
Being recorded 60 years ago, his voice was phenomenal. But so that was my number 6, Bold as Love.
All right.
On to number 5.
Yes. What is Spotify number 5?
Number 5 is Voodoo Child, with 97 million plays off Electric Ladyland.
All right.
What is your number 5?
My number 5 is Remember, and that is off of Are You Experienced? It's towards the end of the album. It's like the second to last. I think Red House is the last one on that one. And this one just has a really infectious like beat to it. I mean, like, now that the drums aren't the main focus of his stuff, usually they're not, but
yeah.
This one has more of an upbeat tone, and it honestly sounds just like happier and more optimistic. It's, it's not quite as heavy as some of the hits on this album, Purple Haze and Hey Joe, but it still has really like bright, intricate guitar throughout. And there's kind of like a back and forth between the higher notes of the guitar and the bass going on. And I think it's the outro where the drums kind of build until it like fades out, and it just leaves you on like a happy note. Not that his songs aren't like, they're more like emotionally confused, but this one,
I would agree.
Yeah, they it kind of explores the complexities of like human emotion, most of his songs, but this one was like decidedly happy to me, so I really liked that change. So that's Remember for my number 5.
All right, my number 5 is The Wind Cries Mary off of Are You Experienced, 1967. It is a rock ballad written by Jimi Hendrix, and according to his then girlfriend Kathy Etchingham.
Yeah, Kathy Mary Etchingham.
He wrote the lyrics after an argument he had with her and used her middle name Mary in the song. Later in the interview, however, he said that the lyrics could represent more than one person.
Yeah.
Which is, I thought that was a funny little story there. And flat out, this is a jam. Like, if you want to say what jams are, this is an absolute jam of a song.
I like this one a lot.
Like, yeah, this is an absolute jam of a song, and I mean,
it's very mellow though.
It is, and it's a very 60s song, and that's why I call it a jam. It's very a 60s rock song, I think, and you can literally just chill out and just listen to the song, and you'll enjoy the shit out of it. So, yeah, that was my number 5, The Wind Cries Mary.
All right.
On to number 4.
Number 4.
So you gotta doing the.
You gotta do like the movie announcer voice.
On to number 4.
Yes.
All right, number 4 is Little Wing, with 128 million plays off of Axis Bold as Love.
Wow, that's my number 4.
Wow, do you just want to go right away? Because
well,
it is your turn anyways.
Yeah, so my number 4 is also Little Wing. So this song was supposedly inspired by the 1967 Monterey Pop Festival. The concert obviously was held during 3 days of the Summer of Love, and it featured very famous people, The Who, The Byrds, Janis Joplin. I think like 200,000 people showed up to it, but it was very influential in like terms of rock music at that time. Kind of exposed more mainstream audiences to kind of the psychedelic rock that was coming out of California, and that one happened 2 years before Woodstock. So he kind of wrote about the atmosphere of the festival as if it was a little girl. So he describes the feeling as like everybody flying and in a nice mood, is what he said, and he named it Little Wing because he thought it could just fly away. So, so he was obviously, flying high on something, I guess. But the guitar on this is played in a very unique style. It's almost like in a jazz kind of style and chord melody, which there's rumors that right before he died, he was kind of leaning towards making more of a jazz-inspired album. So it's interesting listening to this and kind of hearing that influence. And he ran the guitar through a Leslie speaker, which created like a very unusual sound. Those are usually used for like organs.
Okay.
Not guitar.
Yeah, obviously.
And so that kind of creates some of the distortion on the guitar on this one. And it feels kind of mysterious. And I like how like the voice also gets very distorted. Like it sounds like he's putting, I don't know what he did to it, but it's not clean vocals. Like there's definitely some type of distortion. And it's just kind of trippy sounding with the vocals. That's kind of what drew me to the song. But yeah, that's Little Wing for my number 4.
All right, my number 4. By the way, I don't even think I had that in my honorable mention. Oh, I do. It's my honorable mentions.
Little Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
it's a cool
what
song.
did I rate it? I was looking. That was off of Access Below, right?
Yeah, that was probably like the only song I liked off of that album.
I rated that my 4th favorite on that album.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense because I think I have 3 of them on the list. So my number 4 is Voodoo Child off of Electric Ladyland, 1968. This is the final track on his final album as the Jimi Hendrix Experience. It is a shorter reprise of the lengthy blues jam Voodoo Chili from earlier in the album.
Yeah. Is it actually pronounced chili or is it chow?
No idea. I saw it 8 times. It might be chow. I don't know. It's spelled like chili, guys.
I know, but I don't think there's an accent on it.
No.
I think it's just child, like Voodoo Child.
That makes sense.
Don't know. I didn't look into that song because it's not on my list.
Yeah. I literally just I saw that and I was literally, it's probably not chili. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
But that's a good song in its own right.
Yes, that one was
that's
pretty
a long
decent.
song. That's like a 13 or 14 minute song.
Heck yeah.
It's awesome. But so it's basically a shorter reprise of that song. The wah-wah effect of the guitar has made the riff one of the most popular riffs of all time.
Yeah, it's very recognizable.
Yeah, the beginning riff is very absolutely recognizable. Even if you don't even know what song I'm remotely talking about, I did not know the song. I couldn't recognize it by name. And
really?
No.
I feel like Voodoo Child is one of his more popular.
I've heard it before, but I couldn't recognize the name.
That's fair, yeah.
So then once I heard it, I was like, oh yeah. It was ranked number 101 on the Rolling Stones list of 500 greatest songs of all time. The beginning is just, like I said, so good. I love the bluey tone, I called it, making words up. Combined with the as a lot of his songs combined with the electric rock feel, but this song has it, I think, very well because it puts you what you imagine that sound to be before you'd even remotely listen to it is this song.
Yeah.
So. That was my number 4, Voodoo Child.
All
right, number 3. Top 3. Number 3 for Spotify is Hey Joe with 162 million plays off of the Are You Experienced? What is your number 3?
My number 3 is The Wind Cries Mary. So you already had this on your list.
Yep.
It's off of Are You Experienced? And like you said, it was inspired by his girlfriend. Apparently the argument they got into was about her cooking.
Okay.
And she literally got so angry she started throwing pots and pans and finally just stormed out. And then she kind of went and stayed with a friend, and then Jimi wrote this song while she was gone.
Nice.
So it's kind of a wild story of the origins of the song. And it begins with a very distinctive and recognizable introduction. And it has these 3 chromatically ascending 5 chords, which are played in second inversion, which is just kind of a bunch of guitar mumbo jumbo, but it makes it really difficult for the listener to automatically identify what key the song is in. So it creates a unique disorientating effect. And I really enjoy how mellow, like I said, it's very mellow, but also almost on edge on the same time. And it kind of reflects the complications in the relationship. And this one, the guitar is much more calmer and tamed down. I feel it's more emotionally subtle to me, and it's not just blasting in your face crazy fast guitar. It's kind of more interesting and slowed down.
I completely agree.
Yeah, so that is The Wind Cries Mary for my number 3.
All right, my number 3, 2, and 1 are, as we call it on this podcast, the basic bitch picks of these artists, but I love
Yes.
these songs. So my number 3 is Purple Haze off of Are You Experienced, 1967. It peaked at number 65 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, which was at the time for him like pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So he didn't get that many on the billboards.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
So this song, I found why I love the song just by the sound. It's a complete experience of a song. It really is to the full. I know that sounds like
I feel
very
like he asked, "Are you
that sounds like
experienced?"
very like hippie or very hipster like this song like
Yeah,
is,
I
but
feel
no,
like,
this is like a legit like song as an experience.
Yeah, I feel like he asked, "Are you experienced?" on the album, and then he just like answered his own question.
I know. So there are 3 possible things that the song could be about, and I found this fascinating. So the first, it could be about drugs. Many fans and the press interpret the song as referring to psychedelic experience.
Yeah, everyone always thinks it's drugs.
Due to the lines such as "Purple Haze in my brain" and "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." However, Hendrix and his closest to him never discussed any connection between drugs and the song. So it because at the time it basically would have been like, to omit it, it would have been kind of professional suicide to say that your song was about drugs, according to his manager. So that was one thing the song could be about. I'm going to explain all 3 since these are fascinating.
Go for it.
So the second one is a science fiction song. So he was a big fan of science fiction and frequently incorporated it as imagery for his songwriting. Hendrix read Night of Light in a 1966 novel by Philip Jose Farmer that expanded on a short story published in 1957. In the story, set in a distant planet, sunspots produced a purplish haze, which has a disorienting effect on its inhabitants.
That's kind of cool.
And an early handwritten draft by Hendrix titled Purple Haze, Jesus Saves, uses dreamlike imagery where the sense of direction and time is also distorted. He also said in an interview before the song was completed, he was asked how he wrote the song. He responded, "I dream a lot, and I put my dreams down as songs. I wrote one called First Look Around the Corner, another called The Purple Haze, which is about a dream I had while I was walking under the sea." So I found that very interesting that he could have took a science fiction novel that he was a fan of.
And honestly, it was probably amalgamation of all those things combined.
There's one more.
Oh yeah, what's the last one?
The last one is "Or a Girl."
Yeah.
So, and after the release, I think this was one that Hendrix just used as the popular thing right after it came out. He offered another explanation saying the song's protagonist, likes this girl so much that he doesn't know what state he's in, sort of daze. This is a quote, obviously, sort of daze. I suppose that's what the song is about. And that this draws on an experience Hendrix had while he was still in New York, where he felt that a girl was attempting to use voodoo to trap him, and he became ill. Shapiro believes, and that was his manager, I believe, that this is reflection in most of his first 2 verses. Purple haze all around, don't know if I'm coming up or down, am I happy or in misery, whatever it is, that girl put a spell on me. So that was it.
Nice.
But I found that, sorry, that's a long explanation, but I found that all very interesting, so
yeah.
I thought I'll let you guys know. I found that a song is
kind
probably a
different
combination
options.
of everything, honestly.
Yeah.
And the science fiction stuff, I was honestly thinking about it could be more subconscious that he put that in there than anything. If he was a big fan of science fiction and reading it, he probably,
Yeah, or he used the name and just went with it from there.
So that was the long explanation of my number 3, Purple Haze.
Nice.
We are on number 2.
Number 2
is Purple Haze with 189 million plays. What is your number 2?
So my number 2 is Purple Haze.
Oh, did I steal all of your stuff?
No, so I found slightly different things.
Ooh,
but
interesting.
Yeah, so the like you said, it was kind of inspired by a dream that he was walking underwater, but then he said that the purple haze kind of engulfed him and he got lost. and then in the dream his faith in Jesus saved him.
Okay.
So that's what I read, why he at one point had the chorus, Purple Haze, Jesus saves.
And that's what the early title of the song was.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah, but
read
he
on
decided against that, obviously.
Gotcha.
And I also read somewhere that parts of the lyrics were formed from some of Jimmy's free verse ramblings that he just jotted down from time to time. So we kind of just come up with random things and lyrics. And the opening chord of like the two riffs and the interval of flatted fifth is has like a very like imperfect sound, like imperfect dissonance, and it was generally avoided in composition of songs for that reason. Like it just doesn't sound quite right. So I think that's interesting that he decided to use that. It kind of adds to the confusion of the the theme with the lyrics and everything. And Hendrix actually claimed that it had nothing to do with drugs, but it's hard to, it's hard to believe that they weren't an influence,
The lyrics are kind of too spot on to be...
Yeah, because the lyrics kind of almost portray like an acid trip, and at the time his whole life was steeped in the drug culture, so... but him and the producer, Chas Chandler, used some very, like, interesting studio tricks on this one, to create the background track that sounds like really distant. They put a pair of headphones around a microphone and recorded it to get like an echo effect.
Oh, that's cool.
It's just it's the stuff they had to do back in the 60s to get the effects that you can like press a button and
that's
get
when,
now.
Like,
it's crazy.
Obviously, like, music engineering now is still a talent, but back then it was like freaking, I don't even understand. Like, those were artists at work.
It's just like the technical aspects of like how they actually came up with these sounds are crazy. But the gritty beginning of the guitar that starts like very short and sharp notes. I love that part. That's probably my favorite part of the song, and it's just like one of the most unique guitar sounds. It almost feels like otherworldly. So like when you're talking about the science fiction aspects, I think that actually really makes a lot of sense, just with how it ended up sounding.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's Purple Haze. We just talked a lot about that.
We just talked like 10 minutes about Purple Haze.
It's one of his most popular songs.
Yes.
So.
All right, on to number 2.
Yes, what is your number 2?
Nope. Oh yeah, my number 2. That was your number 2, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's my bad. My number 2 is Hey Joe, off of Are You Experienced, his first album, obviously same as Purple Haze. The lyrics tell a man who's on the run and planning to head to Mexico after he shot his unfaithful wife. The song is actually like a very like depressing kind of song in a way, the lyrically. There's also an interesting fact about this song.
Yeah.
Do you have this one also?
No.
Okay.
It's not on my list.
The authorship of the song has been contested numerous times, and different recordings have been credited. And the writing is either Billy Roberts or Dino Valentine, or it's listed as a traditional song.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just, like a folk song kind of thing.
Yeah, that doesn't really have an origin or original author.
And folk rock singer Tim Ross, slower version of the song, recorded in '66 and claimed to be Ross's arrangement of a wholly traditional song. So basically, he recorded it and said that he arranged it from a traditional song. Yeah. That's what that means. Inspired the first, basically that version inspired Jimi Hendrix to record his version. So, very interesting kind of beginnings of this song. And this is like one of his, obviously, I think one of his most iconic songs. I love just the folkness and the bluesness of the lyrics.
Yeah, his voice sounds very
very different.
Yeah, it's much more like calming almost.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I think the history of the song is really like interesting too, because actually how Jimi Hendrix found the song was that the ex-bassist for the Animals, Chase Chandler, who was now the manager, or was the manager, or managing Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, he produced a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, and producer. He saw Rose perform the song at Cafe Wha in New York City, and and he was apparently looking for a artist to record the rock version of Hey Joe. So, and Chandler also discovered Hendrix playing at the same cafe earlier. So it was just it was a weird, like, this whole, like, weird...
The aligning of the
aligning
stars.
the stars for Jimi Hendrix to sing the song. No one knows who actually wrote this song.
Yeah.
It's a very cool... He makes it a very cool sounding song for how kind of, like, morbid, I guess, the lyrics are.
Yeah.
So that is my number 2, Hey Joe. All right.
Honorable
what
mentions.
What are your honorable mentions?
So mine are Hey Joe, Manic Depression, I Don't Live Today, Stone Free, and One Rainy Wish.
All right. Mine are Little Miss Strange, Little Wing, Fire, I Don't Live Today, and Gypsy Eyes, which I really almost put on my 10, but
I like that one too, yeah. So I'm pretty sure we have the same number 1, but what's the Spotify number 1?
Everybody.
Well, do you want to say what it is?
Sorry, Spotify number 1, and I believe all of ours is All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah.
With 380 million plays, almost double of all the other ones, off of Electric Ladyland. I will let you go because I've been talking a lot. I'll let you go first.
Sure,
and
yeah.
I'll fill in.
So that is off of Electric Ladyland, like you said. And it's a song kind of about changing established society, and it starts almost in the middle of a conversation between two people, the Joker and the thief. And the thief kind of sympathizes with the Joker, who wants to escape his position in life and kind of hates the values of society. And it's not very long lyrically. It has 2 verses, no chorus. Like I think the chorus is like "Hey," that's like it. But it's interesting the different philosophical ideas that come up in just those short amount of lyrics. It was originally recorded and written by Bob Dylan in 1967, and this was one of Hendrix's only top 40 hits in the U.S. And it's kind of interesting. We were talking about
reached 20 on the Billboard.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting that his influence kind of far outpaced his popularity at the time. Like, he was very, very influential in as far as music and, guitar playing goes. But he, at the time, he wasn't all that popular or commercially successful. And so all the people... so there's a quote saying, all those people who don't like Bob Dylan's songs should read his lyrics. They are filled with the joys and sadness of life. So he, obviously, Bob Dylan was a very big influence on him. That's obviously, why he recorded this. And I feel like the ambiguous lyrics, because they kind of make sense, but they're kind of up to interpretation, which I kind of like. And also just like the very rolling, simple sounding guitar. It sounds, and when I say simple, it's like he makes it sound simple, but it's so masterfully put together and played. But it's just, he makes it seem effortless. That I think is what really like exemplifies his guitar style. And the bridge especially, it uses a very like heavy wah-wah pedal that creates like an almost like cosmic sound. It's just such a good song. I mean, it's one of his most popular songs for a good reason.
Going off, I actually have a quote from Bob Dylan talking about when he heard Jimi Hendrix's version. So he said, "It overwhelmed me, really. He had such a talent. He could find things inside a song and vigorously develop them. He found things that other people wouldn't think of finding in there. He probably improved upon it by spaces he was using." Sorry, I took license with the song from his version actually, and continue to do it to this day. Yeah,
I've heard that before.
And there's in a booklet. Another part of the biography says, "I like Jimi Hendrix's record of this, and ever since he died, I've been doing it that way. Strange how when I sing it, I always felt like it was a tribute to him in some sort of way."
Yeah, even though he wrote it.
I thought that was
isn't
crazy.
That
I thought
so
that was
cool?
so cool. Like that was such a cool thing to find, and I love
like just the absence of ego in that statement. Like Bob Dylan's just like, he like made this song incredible, and I think right around this time is when Bob Dylan went electric, and I feel like probably Jimi Hendrix had something to do with that influence.
Yeah, and they the song itself, Jimi Hendrix version, appeared at the time 47 on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. In 2000, British magazine Total Guitar named it the top of the list of the greatest cover versions of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically is a cover.
And a lot of people I feel like don't realize that that's a cover.
And Hendrix's guitar solo is included at number 5 on the the Guitar World's, see, I combine those two words there.
Yes,
Guitar World's list of 100 greatest guitar solos.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just listening to the song and keep saying, this is like the song that I knew was going to be my favorite.
Yes.
Before going into it.
Me too.
Love this song. And I didn't know that. I knew my top 3 were the only songs that I knew by name.
Oh, okay.
So it's not, I've heard these the most, so it's not surprising they're my top 3. But this one, I've, especially for some reason, the last like 5 years, I've fallen absolutely. I listen to the song like at least, I'll listen to it weekly for sure. And it's like, it's such a great song for his guitar, and it's just, hate to say it, but no, not the guitar, but it's an experience. It really is. It's another experience, and he was really good at that, and this is a great example of that.
Yeah.
So what you think after listening to all that?
Yeah, I guess I was surprised by some of his stuff because it was a lot different than I thought it would be. I thought he would kind of stay within the archetype of like psychedelic rock in that time, but he definitely strayed from those like typical patterns, and I really enjoyed his guitar playing. I don't know why I had never listened to him before.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Because like just hearing it as like a person who like mildly plays guitar, I'm just like baffled.
Yeah.
Like it literally is just like jaw dropping how amazing he was at guitar.
Yeah, so after out of it, because he only had 3 albums that I went through.
Yes. He basically, he had a lot of recordings that he recorded after like the Jimi Hendrix Experience kind of faded out, that were released after his death, and we didn't listen to a lot of those.
No, but
just because they're not quite, you know, the
But out of his
thing.
like top 3 popular albums, I liked every single album. He, as the people we've done so far on this podcast, he is probably my favorite out of the body of work. I've liked the most amount of music.
Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash just has more work, so it was more spread out.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I'm not sorry,
I misworded. Not my favorite necessarily artist that we've done. Just out of the number of songs I've listened to, I like the most out of his songs. Proportionally,
you liked him.
Yes,
better.
all 3 albums. There was only a few songs that I couldn't get into, but if I had another go, I think I could. And I don't have a lot of people that we've done like that, where like great example, our first episode, Bruce Springsteen, where he has a lot of good hits, but a lot of bad songs.
He also has a lot of stuff that we did not like.
For me, Jimi Hendrix was all 3 albums. I could listen to all 3. They were all solid. I think my favorite one was Electric Ladyland. Second was Are You Experienced, and then Accessible to Love, which I did like more than you, obviously.
Yeah.
But definitely the third on that one.
Yeah, I would love to visit his. He opened a recording studio called Electric Ladyland. I think it's in New York. But he has. I think there's a room that's like the Purple Haze room, so it's all like purple stuff going on. I think that's just like the craziest thing. But yeah, I guess like in terms of, I didn't like every album and every song he made. But I think like the experimentation that he dared to do was really incredible, especially in the time he was doing this stuff.
So I think it's just such a unique. It's
very,
so unique because
groundbreaking.
It's groundbreaking, and I think that's what makes them so good. And so I'm gonna say it freaking again, a gosh darn experience. Listening to his, it is though. It's going through front to back of these albums is such a cool thing to do.
Yes.
All of them, and they all have. There's some songs with different tones, different feels.
He's the kind of artist that you have to listen to the entire album to actually like really understand. He has some hits.
He's definitely some hits that you can listen to one-offs. But if you've never listened to him before, you gotta go through an album. Then you kind of understand what's going on for sure.
Yeah, and I think part of his legacy is like creating stuff that is so, you know, he's just breaking so many barriers. Alright, that wraps up this episode on Jimi Hendrix. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Songs Untold. Link will be in the description. And follow us on YouTube. We have video podcasts now. If you aren't aware. So you can like this video. At us right now. Yes, if you're watching, you can like this video. Maybe leave a comment.
Definitely leave us a comment. What's your guys' favorite Jimi Hendrix song? Or give us a little list you guys got going. Definitely subscribe. That will help us out a lot on the YouTube to grow, to get you guys more content. Also, if you guys could leave a review on iTunes is the easiest way so we can grow also.
Easiest way to show your appreciation of the podcast.
Just leave a commented review. That's the easiest way to do it. And next week, what are we doing next week, Anna?
So next week we are doing a top 200 albums of the 2010s according to Pitchfork.
So it's going to be one of our reaction ones.
Yes, and it'll be a newer source, so it won't be a bunch of old people. Which will be exciting. If there was a song on this episode that you'd like to hear, you can check that out at Spotify, our Spotify playlist, which is New Old and Songs Untold podcast playlist.
All right, and then here, I'll have a couple episodes linked. I'll have the
check out our
last episode,
episodes.
And then I'll have a random one. I'll either put a random one or one of my favorites up there. So check those out after, and have a great week, you guys.
Yep.